Conversations from the Cave is a raw self-help podcast dedicated to discussing men's issues. From pornography to parenting, from religion to real life, from learning to loving. We discuss the real issues that affect real men every day. Join us each week for powerful, revealing Conversations from the Cave. Now your host, Kirk Kennedy.
This is Conversations from the Cave. I'm your host, Kirk Kennedy. It's a pleasure having you this Sunday as we join you each and every Sunday in the studio. But this time we're in APH Radio. We're at APH Radio. We're going to send it around the horn as we normally do. So right to my right, literally sitting right next to me, is Mustang. Mustang, give us a shout.
This is Mustang. I don't have a cool intro like a lot of other people, but what's up, man? I'm happy to be here. Very excited to be in this location as well. So
awesome. And Nola, you want to give us a shout out, sir?
Yeah, this is Nola73. Meet you where you at.
All right, gentlemen, we are doing something a little different. God has blessed us to have the opportunity to actually be on the radio for the first time after a year of doing podcasting. And we want to acknowledge that that's a pretty amazing thing because we didn't know how it was going to happen. We knew that it could happen. And it's just amazing that it's turning out. And that, can you give us sort of the background as to how this whole thing came about?
Yeah, I mean, I used to work at this location, this same radio station years ago, and the great guy, Gene Rowley, actually allowed us to use the studio. When we were
shout outs to Gene.
Yeah, thank you so much, Gene Rowley.
Absolutely.
Very, very awesome. APH, Alabaster Pelham Helena Radio, definitely helps civic organizations. It helps further the Christian cause. And it seeks to promote exactly what we are talking about, which is helping men overcome their daily struggles in real time.
And what I found really interesting when talking with him was that he has a sincere heart for any important message that men need to get. He's all about not sugarcoating it. He's about being real and saying, hey, say what you got to say, do what you got to do, make it happen.
Yeah.
Happen.
Definitely.
Definitely.
No questions.
Nola, I know that you've got, this has sort of been a journey. And here we are after a year. Did you think that we'd actually be sitting on the radio for real in a year from the time we talked about it at the picnic?
Yes.
You saw it.
Yeah. One of the things
okay.
I can definitely tell people that I've been gratefully blessed with is the opportunity to have great vision. You give me your idea, I can foresee where you should be able to go if you just stick with it.
Wow. Because I got to say, there were, 4 guys with us when we were sitting down talking about this thing. And none of the 4 guys came with us except for Nola. Nola was the only one who signed up. And then we, of course, Mustang, you and I met through the internet.
Yeah, I was actually trying to get
a job,
sell something to your business.
Yeah, and then the rest is history. As you guys know, our intro is done by McCann Voice Studios, which of course Chris is the president of, and chief voice actor. So we're very, very pleased. Yeah, and very pleased to have that. Today's topic is going to be one that is a revisiting of something that many men and women now, the biggest, largest group of addicted individuals are women. But men have for years struggled with this problem of pornography. And pornography is probably the single most prevalent clean addiction in all of the addiction class. You know, you think about all the other addictions, there usually is some sort of physical manifestation. You know, if you have a food addiction, you might get stout. If you have a drug addiction, you might see some changes to your physical person. But when you look at porn, you don't really see any change to the person, initially, at least. So the question then becomes, as men, how do we deal with this porn addiction? Is it a problem? Is it something that we really need to be worried about? Or is it just that it's free? We got a free opportunity to do something, and now we don't need to worry about it. I mean, it's not hurting anybody. It's a good thing, And why are we even worried about porn? Porn should be okay. I mean, it's out there. It's free. You know, it's like we can turn it on, we can turn it off. If you want some, you got some. If you don't, you don't. Is that really the best way to think about it, or what?
For me, I mean, I definitely disagree. You know, I know that a lot of people, they struggle with, you know, alcoholism, and they struggle with, smoking, whether it's cigarettes or weed or whatever the case is. But long story short, I was trying to explain to them, imagine, you know, as far as pornography goes, if your addiction was something that you used every single day for work, used every single day. It was tied to you, literally glued to your hand. So you got a bottle, it's glued to your hand. You can drink it. Nobody smells your breath. Nobody can smell the alcohol in your breath. Nobody can see that the drink has affected you. You can do it as many times as you want in private. And you can get any variation of it that you want. Any alcohol, wine, liquor, whatever you'd like. And it's completely free. That is pornography to men. Or to most men, I should say. You can pick your age, your size, your gender, not gender, but your
you can pick gender.
You can pick gender. Yeah, that's a good point. Too. Yeah, for women and for men, or for men and women and women. But you can pick whatever you'd like, and nobody knows. It's completely anonymous. And that's the most horrifying and terrifying part about pornography, is that nobody knows. It's a very quiet killer. And I believe that it starts in a very innocent way, whether you're a child, younger, you had somebody bring home a magazine, you found a magazine, you found a VHS, whatever the case is, and then it slowly begins to deteriorate your life, where you actually begin to want to act out some of those things with your spouse. You want to act out some of those things with your significant other, or with, somebody out there, and then it begins to take over your life, where you think that the women in porn are enjoying everything that they're going through, that every single one of these women just love it. And again, point in case, we know it's an addiction because many, many, many men have tried to stop, and many men have not.
Right. There's books written on it. Steve Arterburn's book is one that comes to mind. Every Man's Battle. Mm-hmm. The difficulty with these kinds of challenges is that you really don't have control of it. You think you do, because that's the challenge of addiction. We always think we're in control of it. It's that moment of recognizing when you can't stop, that you have to say, oh my gosh, this really is in fact, a challenge. So let's talk about the different issues that it raises. Number one, why do we consider it bad? What is it that makes this thing porn bad?
And I think too, and Nola, you tell me if you agree with me, I don't think that it's necessarily that, like alcohol, I don't think the initial, somebody having a sip of alcohol is terrible, but I believe that, and this is we can't relate this exactly. This is not a parallel statement, but somebody having a sip of alcohol is one thing. But it's where the alcohol is taking people. And again, pornography, yes, do I agree that one watch is bad? Yes, I do agree that one look at it is bad. However, it's where it intends on taking you. Pornography does not stop with you looking at one naked woman, you're done.
That's
everyone,
true.
I'm sure,
that's true,
can say, hey, I started out looking at just this. I started out looking at just Playboy, or just this, or just that.
Right.
And now I'm off looking at, upside down gorilla porn, and I have no idea how I got there. I believe that's what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I agree. However, let me take it back to where it's a silent killer. And to me, what I think he means by it's a silent killer is that it's something that comes in and destroys without you even knowing that it's lurking.
Mm-hmm.
So you think the sinister nature of it. So you think that the people who are producing this stuff know that it has to be detrimental and that people get caught into this?
Definitely. Everything that we do that has no real relevance is going to be detrimental to our society as a whole.
Well, what about the people who, I got to play devil's advocate. Hold on there. Hold on now. Wait a minute now. Wait a minute.
Play devil's advocate. Please.
No, wait. So what about the guy, the married guy, who says, I don't really have it all spiced up, and I don't really know about all the stuff going on. So let me check out and see what other folk do.
Right.
And see, so we can add a few little spice, just a little spice, just having a little spice. So why is that bad if you
Well, subliminally, what it does when you look at pornography, it takes that little bit of, I want to add a little bit of spice, and gets inside of your mind. And once it's inside your mind, you do go to your wife or your woman and you tend to use some of those moves, but now you're using something that you experienced from somebody else.
So you're saying that pornography becomes part of your experience?
It's definitely going to become part of your experience, whether it becomes part of your experience sexually, part of your experience in the makeup of it, the way you talk to her, all of that is an effect. You really want to act out what that person has acted out. What you tend to do after that is, if you continue to watch it, you tend to display the same reactions that you have seen in the bedroom of what was normally something that was just your sanctuary. So now you have changed your sanctuary from a spiritual stance.
So you were basically saying that you believe pornography gets into you, and that's because it becomes part of your memory, it becomes part of your experience, and you believe that it changes a person.
Yes. I do.
So that's the reason why you see pornography as bad. Do you agree, Mustang?
Yeah, definitely, especially from a Christian perspective. The thief comes not but steal, kill, and destroy. He's not coming to throw you a party. He's not coming to, hey, we're just going to do this just this time. That's the innocence of it. First of all, anytime you use the word just, there's a problem. You might as well go ahead and throw up a red flag. Anytime you got to use the word just, you're justifying something. Hey, I'm just watching it this time. I'm just getting some ideas. I just want her to watch it so she'll be a little more frisky. And then it begins devolving and devolving and devolving. Now all of a sudden she's seeing different men, different sizes, different this, different that. Or you're seeing different women, different sizes, different this, different that. Now there's a comparison that you guys may not have had before. And it begins to, now all of a sudden you try to go back to just, I just want to love you. I just want to hug you for you. And all of a sudden it changes. Things begin to change.
So do you feel that that's the way that it destroys marriage? You're thinking that pornography actually impacts your marriage that way?
I know for sure that pornography would do that. It has done that. It has destroyed marriages. There are women who enjoy it and don't understand kind of why. They know that they like it. They like watching it with their husbands, but don't realize that over time it begins to deteriorate the reason that they're together. My affection and your affection meeting and acting itself out in the form of intimacy. And then you have others where women are like, I didn't know he was watching this for the past 12 years. I didn't know he was watching this for 5 years. Right. Why don't you come to me? Am I not good enough?
So then we're talking about a slightly different thing, which is a value. Yeah. We're talking about a value judgment. So pornography has a way of devaluing one of the potential of the relationship. A lot of times, if I presume you're saying that, women potentially who are not knowing that their husbands are watching this kind of stuff may not be able to explain things like impotence too, because there are, I was actually talking with a young lady about 2 nights ago, and she was with a guy who suffered with extreme impotence. But challenge that was, I don't think it was ever mentioned that there might have been a porn addiction, but there's a reason why Big Pharma is one of the big suppliers, because there's actually a neurological transformation, because all of the porn super stimulates the brain for that release. And in order to get that, you've got to ramp up the visual stimuli to get the same level of excitement from it.
And same as drugs.
Right.
Same as drugs.
Right. And that's what you guys are saying. It's an ever slipping slope, because you have to have a little more, you have to have a little more, you have to have a little more to get that same sort of feeling, the cascade of emotions that happens as a result.
And that's why I think a lot of us would even go as far as to say, well, I've always watched porn. And then you go back and think about it, and you're like, actually, I didn't. I used to just look at naked women. That was it. I just used to have a card. I know, I think
the wallet cards.
Yeah, the wallet cards. Or I used to just, look at I'm not going to say the names of those, but the magazines, the prominent magazines, or I used to just look at the images. And now all of a sudden I'm looking at
moving images.
Yeah, exactly. And then it began to, now I look at this, or I look at that, or I'm looking at this grouping, or I'm looking at all kinds of stuff I didn't think I would look before. Look at before, things I didn't pay attention to when I was younger. I just was admiring the female physique. You know what I mean? Right. So that, I believe, shows you the degradation there of
Right. So
pornography.
and pornography
of what its intention is, in my opinion.
Right. And the thing that I think is